think the Marine Corps and the military in general, bro, is such an amazing platform to basically succeed off of. Cris Pacheco was in the Marine Corps 2014 to 2018, and I did amphibious assault vehicles.
Nice. And what rank did you get out?
Sergeant.
Sergeant,
E5,
right.
yep. So I grew up in Chino. I would say I lived a privileged life. I went to private school. My parents worked really hard, had a very massive focus on education. So my life had been pretty strict for sure. Like dad was a very disciplined guy, sharp guy, kind of like tuck in your shirt before you leave this house kind of guy. Be respectful to everybody and patriotic for sure. My parents were Salvadorian and they, so that there was no like pride or patriotism to where they came from. It was like America's like first, like you had the opportunity to like expand. So I always kind of I felt like I dreamed big, but I was in an environment that was very high performance, very academic based.
That's good.
Played sports and everything growing up too, so I wasn't a complete, nerd. But,
yeah.
Played high school sports.
Did your parents were they born in El Salvador?
Yeah, they were born in El Salvador. Dad was actually born in Cuba, like moved to El Salvador. So there's a lot of history like behind my family, like lineage wise.
Yeah.
They ended up here, and they I would say they were living the American dream.
Yeah.
My dad. It's crazy. Like my mom talks about like sometimes like backgrounds of my dad when they lived in New York and Miami and LA, and it was hard to hear like about my dad because he would be like him struggling. Like I never like could picture my dad like struggling like to get a job or something like that. So he rose up and became a mortgage broker.
Oh,
Same
wow.
line that I did. My mom's been doing it for 35 years. She's my business partner now. But
wow.
Yeah, like my parents, we lived great. Like I always, I was in the car seat in an S-Series Mercedes. Like my parents worked a lot. So
Wow.
to be able to provide for that. So
Yeah, that's very fortunate, man.
So that was like I would say like up until like 15, 16, very privileged, very sheltered, life, didn't go to parties, nothing. Then the economy, 2007, 2008, started to go down. There was a big subprime boom for the mortgage industry. My dad basically he had told us back then, I didn't understand it, but he was like talking about like there's a lot of bad loans being made out there. That's like basically going to be dangerous like for our economy, right?
Yeah.
And I refused to do them. So he
He was already talking to you about this before the fall?
Like he would, because
wow.
he like had refused to do them.
Yeah.
So like a lot of his business went to other places, right? So, in this business, you're not getting money or commission unless you're closing the deal. So
right.
we were going through that phase. It was very weird. And yeah, my dad, he unfortunately, he passed in 2009. I was a senior in high school, and he was battling a lot of health issues.
Oh, really?
Before that, yeah, and alcohol being one of them. Like it was tough. It was tough growing up, but I would always say that he died with dignity. At least, he had his shortcomings, but like I talked to my wife about this yesterday. I was very happy how my dad kind of grew me up, especially in this environment that's so progressive now. My dad was like that old school, like suit and tie, be a gentleman, like you're the hunter of the family, like kind of guy, what I mean? Protect your mom, protect your wife, like at all costs, kind of dude. So like I was really happy that, so basically to answer your question, that's part of like when my dad passed. It was like literally the summer of high school, leading into my senior year. Dude, I had freedom. Like my mom was still working really hard. Like I had freedom like I never had before. Started going to parties a lot. Started, hanging out with the wrong crowd. Then I went to, I was such a strict upbringing academically that I went to Cal Poly Pomona, like had everything paid for, just squared away, and I saw the college life and I was like, what? I was like, we don't have to go to class.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? This is awesome. Frat parties, all that stuff got all mixed in. We were running a nightclub inside of a Mexican restaurant. I was like trying to do entrepreneurial stuff,
Oh, wow.
but like never going to class.
Yeah.
Always, drinking, partying, chicks, whatever, right? So, basically by my sophomore year, so I was 20 years old, 0.7 GPA. The school was saying that I got to pay back all the grants, everything.
Oh, shit.
Back to the school, academically, like just done. Like, so I went from like very, very studious academic to literally being a college flunk out, right? Flunking. And I was like self-esteem just down the drain. Mom was not having it. She's like, you got to get out and just go figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
So I always say that the Marine Corps or any armed services, they have the best marketing plan for anybody that's struggling. Free food and free rent. Dog.
Right.
I was going to Santa Ana College and trying to be a firefighter, and I seen how hard it is to get into firefighting, and I was taking all the classes, and the Marine Corps veterans like, dude, you should just join the Marine Corps, man. Like, think about it. He goes, you get free food, free rent. You're out here by yourself. I was struggling, man. Just working, waiter jobs and back of the kitchen stuff, and just trying to make ends meet. And then, I walked in, and I was probably the easiest recruit ever, man. Like, and by the way, like, so I joined at 21. I was trying to join as a senior in high school, but my uncle literally came to my house to like talk me. I was already signed up with the recruiter and everything. He made me come out of the. He made me like come out of basically they call it like the debt program.
The late entry program.
They made me come out of it, dog, and I was so scared I couldn't even face my recruiter, dog. My uncle grabbed the documents and dropped it off in front of his office.
Why did he want you to go?
He was like basically the way, because my dad had just passed, so it was like he was looking out for his sister, for my mom, for sure. Like, and I think it was the right move at the time. I just was so reckless back then, man. Like that was like during that college time, like that senior college time, and like it was just some like really like wild times where I shouldn't have been there. So that's part of like a lot of my motivation now, like giving back to my mom, because like I know that those were already tough times economically, especially for the family, and then kind of just like putting that as an extra burden,
Yeah.
But it was just really strange.
Yeah.
It was really strange times.
So you go into the Marines, it sounds like, because college wasn't working out for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you get to pick your job?
I did. I got I think I scored like really high on the test. So they basically told me like I could do whatever I want, and so I went and I wanted to join, and not say at the end like I didn't do like a real Marine Corps job, So I did like combat support. It was either I was gonna be, I think, artillery, or tracks basically, or I think a forward observer or something like that. So they just chose me like, okay, you're going into AAVs, needs of the Marine Corps.
Wow.
No idea what it was, dog.
Yeah.
Like never saw a pamphlet for it, nothing, dog.
Yeah. So how'd you take the boot camp? Growing up strict and stuff, it seems like your pops was on your ass.
It was actually like, it was like the first time I understood my dad, because that was like a very sobering awakening, especially from basically doing whatever I want like throughout the day, to like now you're on our regimen, like now you're in our program, like that's it. I remember, dude, I was tearing up, like crying, thinking of like just like, fuck, I was like, did I even make the right decision, bro? And I can't believe in boot camp, I got put on the, on like a motivation like day. So like they took me out of my platoon and I basically got to be a Marine for like the whole day.
Oh,
I hung
really?
out with the sergeant major of the base,
Yeah.
Sergeant Major Wickham back in the day. And he was like, I was like, why is this dude's like freaking so happy? And I thought like boot camp that the Marine Corps is going to be like that the whole time, dog. And I was like, and then I came back just, you know, it was cool. I came back strong. Like after like all the guys that I've served with and that know me now and like people that have, you know, written up awards for me and stuff, when I tell them that I was in the motivational platoon, dog, they freaking get a crack out of that.
I never heard of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Huh? That's how new it was.
Wow.
I was probably like the prototype or something,
Yeah.
bro. But that was interesting.
Yeah, so talk to me about your military experience, man. You know, any, you know, what memories you have of, you know, your time in service in the Marine Corps?
It was weird because it was like the end of Obama years. So I think there was a lot of cutback in funding. So I like waited for a long, like I didn't hit the fleet until like another year, like since when I went to boot camp because I was in like waiting platoons. I got my jaw broken when I was in the AAV school.
Ooh.
Like got jumped out in town.
Really?
Emergency hospital. Oh yeah.
Tell me that.
Completely blacked out. Okay, so when you're a student in the Marine Corps, it's like basically like it's like you're in boarding school. Like you can't get let out. You can't. So unless you get like special permission, like commanding officer has to sign off on it. So we had the opportunity for liberty, right? This is when I was like at my peak of like my alcoholism, basically, and I freaking went to a USC game that day. Family lives down the street. I was drinking the whole time. The first night out on Friday, we went out to a nightclub, right? Then we came back off 2 hours of sleep. Then we went to the USC game with my mom. Go and visit my aunt, my cousins, and everybody right there in LA. Hey, let's go to we went to the same nightclub off of Figueroa in downtown LA. And literally like was walking out with the girl, walked back to the nightclub. The guard bouncer was like, nope, you're not coming, no re-entry, you're not coming back in. And that's the last I remember. The next thing that I remember was waking up to a firefighter like picking me up, like right in front of like where the Staples Center is at, like right there.
So you don't remember why the fight started or nothing?
No. Apparently there was no altercation. I just got cold clocked, getting kicked to the face, broke my jaw in like 4 different places.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who was with you?
I was by myself, and all my cousins were inside the nightclub, right?
Oh man.
So, drunk off my ass, like. Then I went to this police station, like completely, still drunk, like aunt and uncle picked me up. Then I come the next morning, I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and my jaw looked like one of those doggy flapping doors, bro.
Oh, wow.
Just completely
dislocated and everything.
Broken. The gum line was just broken, dog. And next thing I saw was my mom whooping my cousin's ass, dog. Hitting him. Like, how did you let this happen to my son, you know? Didn't go to the hospital. Rejected medical attention when it happened. Right? Rejected. So I was like walking around. They just picked me up from the police station, whatever.
Yeah.
Next day, I'm going back to Pendleton. Face is a straight up watermelon, bro. And we're standing there in formation. And, when they ask you, like, hey, like, did anybody get in trouble this weekend? I was like, well, I didn't technically, because I was calling the station. I was like, do you remember me there? And like, nobody said nothing.
Yeah.
So I was still delirious. I didn't even know what happened, dog. Then they ask, does anybody need to see the corpsman? And I raised up my hand. I was at the back, and everybody looked back at me and was like, what the fuck? And it was like my face was just destroyed, dog. Couldn't even chew, couldn't even nothing.
Oh my God.
So like, we gotta go see the first sergeant. So you go see the first sergeant. And back then, it's like straight intimidation from like instructors and first sergeants and everything. And they're like, what happened? And I was just like, I was playing football and let me put my phone on silent. I was playing football and I fell and, that's it. They're like, all right, now. So they drive me to the hospital, right? My staff sergeant drives me to the hospital, Staff Sergeant Bailey. Then they check me out. Then we come back and LAPD calls me, detective.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, Detective Jensen, he goes, hey, Chris, he goes, this is Detective Jensen, LAPD. He goes, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm sitting next to my staff sergeant in the Govy. And he goes, do you know that you got assaulted on Saturday night? And I was like, no. I was like, I didn't even know. He goes, yeah. He goes, and you rejected medical attention. And you just walked it off and like told the firefighters and the police officers to just leave you alone. So the cops took. Then I turned to my side, hang up, right? He goes, just let me talk to your command. Don't worry. He goes, but I need to lock these guys up. He like, you got to identify them. Tell my staff sergeant. I was like, hey, staff sergeant. I was like, hey, what happened Saturday? I guess I got jumped. And he tore me a new one, dog. And he's like, you're going to have to go see the first sergeant and explain all this. But basically, the detective was like an 05, like, reserve Navy. And he, like, basically, like, talked to the whole chain of command, had completely restructured reconstructive, like, surgery, dog. Yeah.
Wow.
So, sorry, I know I got long-winded.
No, that's crazy, man.
And basically, yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, and I still didn't stop drinking, dog.
Oh, no?
NJP'd like 2 weeks later.
Did you have for a different incident?
For a different incident.
What'd
I
you get
bought beer for the guys on base, and one guy got caught by PMO. And obviously, already know how that goes.
Yeah.
It goes back to first sergeant.
Oh, man.
A bunch of dudes just ratted on me.
Yeah.
That I was the guy that was buying all the beer.
Did you have a drinking problem, you think?
For sure. Oh, yeah. So just another thing, I'm over 5 years clean from drinking.
Now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I haven't drank. I stopped while I was in the Marine Corps. I was battling a lot of mental health issues while I was in the Marine Corps.
Did you have a drinking problem before going into the Marines?
I don't know. Because I just started drinking. My dad was so strict, like no cigarettes, no nothing, dog. So I started drinking when I was in college.
College, yeah.
18
and
years old.
that's when you started, it sounds like things started going to shit, right?
Yeah. Oh, so many like dumb things said, done when I was drinking and I was sober. Like I got sober for like 6 months after that. Like I got NJP'd. And
so the NJP was for buying
alcohol for minors,
for
basically,
minors.
yeah. And I just owned up to it. I didn't try to fight it. Everyone's like, "Oh, you should have fought it," but it was a.
And by minors, what you probably bought alcohol for some other 18,
Marines.
19, 20-year-old
for Marines.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I just want to clarify that so it doesn't sound like you're buying
no,
alcohol for some
underage
Marines on base.
Marines.
Yeah, like that's a fucking common thing. You just got caught,
dude. Yeah. Like how many units do you know that have their PFCs that they deployed with that they drink some Budweisers back at the ramp or back at the shop? Come on, dog.
For sure.
Like, so.
So did you continue drinking after that NJP?
Yeah. Well, 6 months after I stayed straight. I had like a guy on base who was like sponsoring me or whatever. And then I just one random night, me and the wife go out. I'm like, she's like, hey, just have some, like a few, like we'll be good. And I didn't know where that was gonna lead me. So that was like a good like year and a half, 2 years. I was just back and forth in AA, out of AA, clean for a month, clean for 2 weeks. And I know I had it in me because my dad, he died from it. Like that was a big contributing factor.
Gene.
Oh yeah. And my family, like too, bro, they like to drink, like a lot of families. So it's like, it's a little awkward still, like showing up like completely like sober, like everywhere, from drinking. So
What kind of mental health issues were you dealing with?
so I couldn't sleep, dog, while I was in the Marine Corps. And in boot camp, I showed up to boot camp like 2 days not slept. I was miserable, dog. And those first 4 days, like you barely sleep,
Yeah.
right?
And receiving. Yeah.
And receiving. So I was, no, they had no idea like how bad and terrible I felt, dog. And felt like I was going to pass out the whole entire time. While I was in the Marine Corps, like in the fleet, basically, for whatever reason, I don't know if I had an allergy or what to alcohol, I could not fall asleep. Literally Sunday night through through Thursday night, because Friday and Saturday, for sure drinking. And I stopped those other days because I worked in heavy equipment, so they can just breathalyze you and you're freaking done, bro. You know, showing up to the ramp with any alcohol in your breath. You know.
Yeah.
So that was a bad cycle of going like 5 days straight without sleeping. Like,
Were you experiencing anxiety?
I think so. I mean, I felt like I always dealt with it.
Yeah.
And I went to like psych and all that, and it was just like, I don't know. It was just like a weird time, but I was still executing at a very high level, like winning Gung Ho awards and like very popular with like my guys. But I was doing that, like I basically did like 3/4 of my Marine Corps career like half asleep, dog.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say I have like some street cred with the guys, like, you know,
Yeah.
putting, you know, officers that used to tell me, like, give me orders, like buying houses now, you know,
Yeah.
and guys I served with, superiors, you know, peers and subordinates, you know, trusted me to buy houses. So I feel like maybe the reputation was pretty decent, you know, being in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
like always a testament when a guy comes back and is like, man, I remember when this happened, or because I would be I was just like, I think I brainwashed myself with like Jocko Willink. Mm-hmm. My mom actually went to a conference of his, and he like signed it, and he like wrote like Semper Fi like in there and everything.
Nice.
So I used that basically as like my military Bible to just like own up to things, be the volunteer, be the guy that's different, you know?
Yeah, extreme ownership, right?
Extreme ownership.
Big
That
on
book
that.
changed my life.
Yeah.
And it's still, I would say it's still very prevalent now. And that was like one of the biggest things when I got out, what a lack of ownership people have, bro. Like being passive aggressive, straight up lying, just gossiping, just shit talking other people behind people. It's just like, I don't know, blaming other stuff for mistakes, bro.
Yeah. Talk to me about some more of your military experience. You went on 2 pumps, right? Non-combat tours, right? How are those? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, I mean, now that I look back on it, when you're forced to do stuff, you don't want to do it.
At the time, huh?
It was just like it just sucked,
Yeah.
dude, because it's just like, oh, like, all right, like leave didn't seem long enough, and like it's just like anxious, like going, dog. And we thought for sure we were going to North Korea, like that was like programmed in us. It was a crazy experience. Like, got to meet a lot of different militaries from different countries because we were doing a lot of collaborative stuff. And now that I look at it, it's basically we're building propaganda videos that we're getting sent to North Korea, like dramatizing like full beach like assaults, dog. We did this thing called Cobra Goal in Thailand, and dog, we were like in it was crazy. It was like we were like in like a stadium, and it was just a range, and they had like stadium seating in the back. And we did like a full frontal like attack, and I'm talking about like jets dropping freaking bombs, dog, like shaking the track, like Abrams next to us, like it was like a full on show. And you see dudes in like sheiks coming out of these like Rolls Royce trucks, and like I'm sure there was some defense contractors there, and like they'd be all like clapping. So it was like a weird like thing, because it was like almost like we were playing war,
Yeah.
you know. And then that was my first trip, you know, and then I got an award on ship. So I got to go to the DMZ while we were in Korea. So it was crazy to see like a soldier right there, like a North
Well, that's
Korean
right.
soldier.
You won Marine of the Ship or something.
Yeah,
And
Marine of the Ship.
how do you win that?
I mean, I was just like, they just submitted my name for it.
Just for being fucking.
I guess,
Just
like,
for having your shit together.
yeah, just tracks is just a lot of miscellaneous, like just BS, like to do all day. Like, there's a lot of maintenance that's done.
Yeah.
On the tracks, and I would just like volunteer.
Yeah.
For it. That's from as long as I can remember, I was pretty much volunteering for everything, and like my peers fucking hated me for it for a while, and then I think they learned to respect it now.
Yeah.
Because we reflect when we talk with the guys. My subordinates for sure hated it because I was just like, they're like, hey, we need 3 Marines. They'll be like, oh, okay, us. It'd be like your track, like your driver and your rear crewman. I'd be like, when I was a crew chief, I'd be like, hey, whatever they need, volunteer for it. And those guys, I'm like, my boy Kyle Standage, he's like a DI right now at MCRD. And like we're like super tight. And the other guy, Cameron Pravlik, he's back east. Like he has a great like electrical job in like Maryland, and like I'm still really close with them. So we reflect back on those times a lot.
So you get Marine of the Ship, and then you get to do what now? You said you went to North Korea?
So we got to go to the DMZ on
Right.
some tour, and I went with my brass, and it was crazy, dog. We were at the bottom of Korea, 8 hours up, going to the 39th parallel. I can't remember which one it is. It's dude, we show up and like, dude, eerie, dog. It's like, cause you see it on TV, right? Like dudes staring at each other, the slab in the middle and everything. Like it was just eerie because dudes were just like looking at each other, bro.
Wow.
And that was crazy, dog.
Not saying shit, huh?
And I was in civvies, like we weren't like in military like garrison at all. And we get to cross into the room, and it was a really interesting experience, though.
Yeah. Did you get any libo in Thailand?
Thailand, yes, that was crazy. I can't believe they let Marines do that.
What kind of stuff?
It's just like,
what kind of stuff did you do in Thailand?
not me personally. I was still drinking at the time, so I was like still on alcohol, but like thank God, bro. Like I was asked all the homies, dog. I was beyond, like I was faithful, dog. Like I was married already.
What kind of stuff did you see out there, though?
Oh man, like I remember the gunny telling all the grunts. We were with 1-5, like we were in the ship. They're like, hey, he goes, if she's a 10, it's a dude. And I was like, what? Dude, it was wild, man. Like basically look like Vegas, like on steroids, bro. But like not as glamorous at all, because it's like, you know, a third world country basically. Like it was just crazy. Beer was like not like with $5 American dollars, you can just like have the time of your life in Thailand.
Dude, I've heard some wild. I've never been to Thailand, but I've heard some, you know, those fucking shows that fucking Marines go to.
All the ping pong stuff and all it was like basically like a place of no morals. I was like, damn, these guys don't care out here. It just made me appreciate America like way more, man. I was just like, gosh, man.
Yeah. What other places did you get to visit?
I went to Korea. That was dope. Obviously Oki. On the second Westpac, we went to Australia. That was awesome. And then Thailand. And I think in Guam I got to go to. It's like an island off there. So
what was Australia like?
Australia, super clean city. That libo was fun. Got to see Manny Pacquiao fight.
Oh, nice.
They're like,
wow.
They're Australian like hero. He ended up, the Australian guy won. It was fun. I know the guys had fun for sure out there.
I hear they love Americans in Australia.
Yeah. So is that
right?
Yes. There's like I think there's like a culture thing with like men in Australia that the women, like I don't know, like you have to treat women in a certain way that's not popular over there, man. So when they see American dudes, they already know it's like, I guess we're polite and mannerful, you know. I was going to school full time while I was taking a class a month, online school while I was in the Marine Corps too. So that kind of leads into transition.
Yeah. What were you going to school for?
I got a bachelor's of science in organizational leadership, but
Okay.
it was more of a degree. I call it the bachelor's of science of getting my mom off my back, though, because she was just so like about education and everything. And my brother went to Pepperdine, like
Oh, nice.
graduated like super high grades. I graduated college before I did.
Yeah.
So, there was I would say there was just a lot of pressure to do it,
Right.
Ended up getting the degree, graduating. And then 1 month, so I had started a digital marketing business while I was in the Marine Corps as a Lance Corporal on my first Westpac. I had failed businesses before I joined the Marine Corps. So my partner, he's still my partner to this day, Nick Casillas, he's involved with the Marine Corps League and everything. We've been in business for 6 years now. He basically asked me, like, he went and, like, we split up from our digital marketing company that we had before the Marine Corps. He went and became like a web guru. And he's like, hey, I just want like a salesman here, man, to like basically help me with everything. And so we started a business. It's called now Surge Digital Consultants. So
Nice.
I had it was weird, like I was playing kind of like a double life a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I would be like getting out of the Marine Corps and then going to like business meetings or like functions, like getting into like a suit,
Yeah.
And this was like in the middle, like between when I was like my first and like second Westpac. So it's like, and in tracks, as trackers know, you're always in the field training and stuff. So I would like squeeze this stuff in. And
Yeah. So when did you transition out? What year was it?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So not too long ago.
No.
So talk to me about what that was like for you transitioning after serving 4 years in the Marines.
So it was different for sure. I think because I already had like an entrepreneurial mindset and everything. I already had like stuff going. Like I had a business that was already like making money and stuff. And I know that's not the reality for a lot of guys, So I was very privileged to have that. Very fortunate. And then it was like a month. I don't even really remember the month, but then I went to USC, like a month after I got out of the Marine Corps.
Oh, wow.
So that was like a whole change of scenery from, kind of like I would say it's low key a little toxic, bro, in the Marine Corps to like.
To USC, yeah.
It's like we get like catered meals and it's very just like elaborate, dog. Like the buildings and everything, like this is tight. And I was the youngest one in the class. It was it's called the Masters of Business for Veterans. So I was the youngest cat in the class, so everybody was older. So everybody, dog, like had way more salt than me, dog. Like dudes that have like commanded like platoons in Iraq, Afghanistan, honor grads from West Point, honor grads from Annapolis, bro. And I was just like, dog, I'm just a tracker, bro. Like, but I finished my school and the whole GI Bill and everything just took care of it. It was like, $55,000 bill just and getting paid to go. And I was like, I still got years left on my GI Bill. Like that's like my fallback, plan, dog, if anything ever happened. But
your mom must be proud of the USC.
Oh yeah. And she went to SC and didn't finish. So that was kind of like some divine intervention, getting in, bro. And it was a dream school. Got to meet I never connected with other veterans outside of the Marine Corps. Yeah. So that was a great experience to hear like other like, cause you always just hear like trash talk about soldiers, like Army soldiers. Dog, I met some dudes that did some intense stuff, like Army soldiers out in Iraq and stuff, man. But that was a good experience. So that helped me transition because it was like very career oriented.
Yeah.
But man, like some of the stories, like when we would socialize and get together, some of the stories that I heard, because some of these cats were in their 40s already, 50s, some of them. doing career changes, and then telling me about how their transition was as a veteran. And I was like, gosh, man. And so many dudes would tell me, like, dude, you're so, like, fortunate, like, you're so lucky, like, you don't even know the opportunity you have to create something yourself. But there was a lot of self-inflicted wounds, like, before that. So that's, like, basically when I was joining the Marine Corps and everything, I was the older guy, 21 and 8. So that was, like, psychologically, like the dudes that were, like, blasting me were younger than me, dog. You know, like my corporals and stuff, right? And that was a big psychological thing. So when I got to SC, it almost felt like I made it. Like I caught up in life.
Right.
That was a big insecurity from, I saw all my friends graduating college and everything. I'm over here barely joining the Marine Corps, almost feeling like just very novice in life, dog, like entry level. So I battled that mentally a lot, dog. Yeah.
So what'd you get out of SC? A bachelor's?
Masters.
Masters?
Masters in business for veterans. So it's a program, it was like a 6th session.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience, man.
Nice.
Went to football games, studied hard.
So did you struggle with anything at all transitioning out, or it sounds like it was pretty?
I think
smooth.
it was. I think just the general business, like the adversity you face as a business owner. I went through that. I almost bought a hydroponic store for the growing cannabis industry, and that deal fell through. So I was like involved with like realtors, lenders, and clients like throughout. I have faced, I guess, like on the surface it's like good head on your shoulders, right? But like as you probably know, as a business owner, like you just have like adversity like throughout your day.
That's all there is.
You know
man.
what I mean?
Just,
Bills don't stop.
Yeah.
Just random stuff like that. So I've dealt with like a lot of those anxieties, but I'd be lying if I said there's some sob story to this, but it's definitely been earned, to get to. I put in the hours for sure.
Right. So what would you suggest to earlier you were just talking about how most veterans or people transitioning out of the military have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah.
What would you suggest that they do? How long before getting out? What should they start to do so they don't end up in a situation of fucking just being lost right when they get out?
I think like me and Nelson, we went to go we had the opportunity to talk with some poolies, like some recruiter, tracker guy, staff NCO that I knew. He invited us to come speak. And I was telling them like, start having a vision now of like what you want to be in life, and then like build that action plan. And like I think the Marine Corps and the military in general, bro, is such an amazing platform to basically succeed off of. Go to school, paid for. Get into a house, builds wealth, 0 down payment. The network of just how many people want to hire veterans and how many like amazing jobs are out there for prior military. That's a huge bonus that I see a guys not taking advantage of enough, I would say like, dude, like I think reading has definitely changed a lot of rewired a lot of stuff in my mind just to think different, be different. I think the Marine Corps, psychologically, it just freaking tunnels you in, and like, yes, like uphold yourself, like follow everything. If you can brainwash yourself with the Marine Corps, like you'll turn out to be a decent human being, right? Some other guys might argue, but also like you gotta have that like be able to think for yourself kind of mentality, that entrepreneurial spirit, and like be able to network. And that's what we're trying to do with the Marine Corps League. Like we're trying to get and talk with these guys like before they're getting out, like, hey, some guys are like close to getting out, like, hey, you want to have a good network, a good tribe. I would say for somebody who's trying to succeed in life, surround yourself with the high performers. And I think like sometimes the Marine Corps, like, because you're in a platoon, you're supposed to be there one, so it kind of forces you to be like good friends with some of the shitheads, but some of them are just shitheads. But your tribe is so you get the proper mentorship, talk to the career planner, go visit a veteran resource center at a college. Just get the general. I think that a lot of veterans succeed when they know the structure.
What kind of books are you reading?
I like reading stuff about sales. I like reading stuff about mindfulness, like about meditation and breath work. I like reading a lot about like leadership, just like great stories. Lately, I've been jumping more into my spiritual faith, so I've been reading a lot more faith-based. Everything just kind of like I'm doing like a study plan Bible-wise right now, reading scripture. I felt like it's taken a big impact on my life too. But anybody who's watching this, man, I can send them a reading list that'll keep them busy for 2 years, dog.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, shit, dude, we're getting ready to cut the tape. But before we end, I always ask, give you an opportunity for any last words, man, before we end it.
There was actually another incident in the Marine Corps that I just thought about right now.
Okay.
And this is going to be like my last remarks, because I barely have mentioned my wife. My wife is a massive part of why I succeed now. She literally, just her in my life has given me like so much confidence, like self-esteem wise and everything. She's just always been there, from like a little like shithole apartment in Oceanside to like us living in our townhome now. Like, she's been there like since the start, right? She's seen it all. I almost got a divorce with her, and I thank God every day, 2 years in, like, to our marriage, that got like resolved. Like, I'm very active at the church, at Saddleback Church, and Purpose Driven Life book, like, that was actually that was the book that I read before I got sober. So that was like, that put me on track. And then we went through our marriage counseling, and like, I think that my last message to guys is obviously be prepared, like, to get out and like surround yourself with a great tribe. I know that sounds cliche, but marriage problems I feel like add a lot, and I think the data is pretty high with divorces with veterans and military. And if you're having trouble, like, give at least counseling and some resolution, instead of just making an abrupt decision because that costs a lot of money. It puts dudes in the hole, So that's my advice, because my wife is the biggest, finding that spouse that's just will be a trampoline for your whole entire life. That's so important, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your wife, because part of what we're trying to do here at Urban Valor is build a community for veteran spouses as well, because oftentimes they just go unheard. You know what I mean? We're focused on the combat vet with PTSD or mental health problems, but we don't talk about the wife that has to deal with the changing husband who comes home, who's a whole different person now and stuff. And so this is why we also interview spouses and stuff, so we could put their perspective out there and help build a community for them as well. So I'm happy you did mention your wife.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I know she has networked and talked with other wives as well. A lot of like my peers has got like wives and stuff, and she gives out a lot of advice. But let us know about that network.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you being here, brother.
Thank you, brother. It was an honor, man. Hope this touches somebody, and feel free to reach out anytime if you guys see anything you guys like.
Semper Fi.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no